Nothing hurts more as a salesperson than to close somebody and then have them cancel. It hurts. You lose a commission, you lose some confidence maybe, you lose your number towards your quota, and you might even be bitter. Or you're all four of those things. But I have two things for you, okay? You can prevent these things from happening. I have two things for you. One of them is to start doing, and then the second, stop doing. Now, these are two things that if you implement them, will absolutely have an impact on the business you lose. And if you're experiencing people canceling after they have agreed to do business with you, then you're going to want to pay attention to this video. So, two things. Number one, stop pressuring or convincing people to buy. Okay, when I go to Costco, there are samples everywhere, right? I might go up and maybe it's, I don't know, meatballs that they're sampling out, and they give me a sample and I'm chewing on one and I'm like, oh, this is really good. And as I'm chewing on it, and I'm like, oh, this is good. Oh, here you go. They give me a box. It's only $9.99. Here you go. And I'm like, I have the box in my hand. I look at my wife and she's like, okay, right? I throw it in the cart and I go on. Now, about 30 or 45 minutes later, as I'm heading to the checkout, I'm looking at that box and I'm like, yeah, we don't need it, right? And I'll put it back. What happened there? Well, it was a high pressured sale. As I'm chewing on the sample, I'm agreeing to the person who gave me the sample that I like it. So they hand me a box. Here you go, right? Only $9.99. Have a good day, right? Well, that works for Costco. That's their sales model. They do it in numbers, right? It's a numbers game. High pressure, here you go. Low risk, low ticket, right? Low value sale. So that process works. That model works, right? But I want you to think about any time you've purchased something and you did it because you felt maybe pressured to, or you gave in. Maybe you're doing it for someone else. We've all done it. We've bought something that we weren't 100% on board with. Maybe you gave into pressure of the salesperson who was selling it to you. Maybe you give into pressure of somebody else who wanted you to buy it. And have you ever had buyer's remorse? Yeah, we all have, right? That's what happens when you try to convince someone to buy something. Stay away from pressure. Stay away from convincing. It will only result in them having that remorse later. Instead, create an environment where people are drawn to the decision to buy. So I'll do a separate training on that, a separate video, but for now, understand you have to create an environment where people want to buy, not an environment where you're convincing them to buy. So that's number one, stop convincing. Number two, start finding out about every person who will be involved in making the decision and everyone who will have an influence on the decision. So when I first got into sales many, many moons ago, I was very successful right out of the gate. And I was landing, these appointments and then applications. But what I saw was, let's say out of 20 or so applications, 7 or 8 of them were falling out. Now, these are people who were head over heels, wanted to do it. It was no questions, right? They wanted to do it, but I was losing the business. So it made me look back on what I was doing wrong. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not convincing these people or pressuring them. So I know it's not that. Well, I got fed up because it was blowing my mind. I couldn't figure it out. I got fed up and I started asking people. When they would cancel, I would ask them. And keep in mind, this is after I've already tried to, retain the business. We're past that point. All objection handling has failed. They've already made their decision. They're done. I started asking people at that point, hey, look, I respect your decision. I'm only going to talk to you for a few more minutes, not to convince you to do this, but I just want to know so I can improve myself, my company. What was it about me, my product, or my company that made you decide otherwise, right? And the responses I was getting, it changed my life forever. I was hearing things like, well, I talked to my financial advisor and they said it wasn't a good idea. Well, I had a meeting with so-and-so and after talking, we decided it's not the right time. Over and over and over. And I was like, wow, okay. Because all these people that they're telling me they've spoken with, I had no idea who they were until I just had this conversation. It means I'm missing something. So what I did was I implemented a new quadrant in my discovery process. And that was, I labeled it the decision maker and decision influencer quadrant. I found out who is all involved in making the decision. whose opinion matters enough to the prospect where if they say, oh, it's not a good idea, the prospect is going to listen to them, right? All influencers, all decision makers. And then I started asking. Once I found that out, I would even ask towards the end of my discovery call to the prospect, hey, if we can, assuming we can, structure a program that accomplishes A, B, and C and prevents, X, Y, and Z, and more importantly, allows you to do blah, 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 and those people, right, I name off the decision makers, tell you not to do it, what are you going to do then, right? I would get that far with it because I want to know, who are these people? How much of a role are they going to play? How big of an influence, how much of an influence are they going to have on the decision? And if it's significant, I need to get on the phone with these people. So number one, stop convincing people to do anything, right? Instead, create an environment where people are drawn to the decision to buy from you. Number one. Number two, start finding out all who are involved in that decision-making process and find out who that inner circle is. Who is in that inner circle where when they spout off an opinion about the prospect moving forward with you, that the prospect will be influenced by that opinion. You need to find out who those people are and what their opinion might be once the prospect does speak with them. Doing these two things, you will significantly reduce your fallout if you're experiencing fallout right now, just like I did. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to like it, subscribe to the Clever Closers channel so you can get notified every time we come out with a new video. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Please drop a comment below. I love it when you guys interact and share some ideas. You guys want to see a video of me covering a specific topic? Let me know and I will gladly do it. My name is Greg. Thank you guys for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.